Hi everyone, thank you for joining us today for the Camunda webinar, Content is King, but how are you managing it? My name is Daya, I'm from Canada, and I am the Content Marketing Manager at Camunda, but today I'll be your moderator. And I'm joined today by Felix Mueller, who is an awesome consultant at Camunda, and he's actually a real Berliner, which is very rare to find, so you guys are very lucky today. Before we start, I just wanted to go over some housekeeping notes. This webinar is recorded, so if you miss anything or if you want to watch it again, it will be up on our website tomorrow, so you have that opportunity. And we very much encourage questions. There should be some kind of little tab or taskbar that says Ask Me a Question, and we're happy for you to ask us questions, and we will answer them all at the end of the webinar. Just to keep the flow going. So with that being said, we're really excited to have you here, and I'm going to pass it on to Felix to get us started.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Daya. Thanks for the introduction. So today I'm very glad that I'm here for the webinar Content is King, as Daya said. So we're going to have a look at how Camunda can be integrated with enterprise content management systems and document management systems. So first of all, I would like to tell you a little bit more about myself. So my name you already know, but besides that, I'm a consultant at Camunda, focused on web applications and front end, but also on integration with third-party systems. And that's the reason why I'm here today for you. Let's have a look on the agenda, what we're going to talk about today. So first of all, we're going to have a look at enterprise content management systems and document management systems more in general. So we're going to have a little bit of theoretical part where I tell you a little bit about both topics. And then we're going to have a look on into two integration examples that I developed for you, just to show you how you can integrate Camunda with the two different things here. One of them is a CMIS-standard, and the second one is a cloud-based solution called box.com, and I'm going to show you both of them. And we're going to have some really nice live demo where I'm going to go into the code, source code actually, where I show you what I did and what I developed. And in the end, we're going to do a quick summary, and we're going to answer all the questions that you had during this call. Okay, so let's start with enterprise content management systems. This term was actually introduced in 2000 by the AIM International. It's a standardized term, and it includes all the different things that are mentioned here on the slide. So enterprise content management is not only about document management, but it also includes things like scanning and capturing documents, and also usually they provide search functionality, or they help you with your record management, and sometimes they even have some kind of workflow management, which is usually not using BPMN or any specific standard, but was more something very custom depending on the software or the solution that you're using. So this is a very broad term, ECM, and then there's this second term that we're going to talk about today, which is document management system, DMS. And this is actually a component of ECM systems usually. So they can stand alone, DMS systems, but often or mostly they're part of ECM. And DMS help you to control and organize documents throughout your organization, from scanning to actually archiving them, and also versioning and history tracking, things like that. And as I said, often workflow systems and record management systems support you in doing that. And what you have to know is that currently many users are moving from on-premise DMS solutions to modern cloud-based solutions. What does it mean? In the past, there were many solutions that you had to install on your server within your company, and then you would store and host the solution on your own. So you were responsible for backing up the system and maintenance and things like that. But more and more, there are more cloud-based software as a service solution providers that offer you document management systems right from the cloud, where you don't have to do anything besides registering and maybe paying some small fee for that. And the nice thing here is that you can just upload your documents and you don't have to worry about anything. This is, of course, just a selling point, but more in a general point of view, there are many reasons why you should use a document management system. So more or less, it's a central repository for files and documents, which helps you to share files. And it also supports you in document security. So often you have, for example, the case that you want to share documents within your company only for specific user groups or very targeted users within your organization. And then you can make use of DMS systems, and they help you to give access to users specifically only. Yeah. And another one nice thing is that you can have anytime and everywhere access, especially with the cloud-based solutions. They usually come with mobile access, so you can have, for example, a mobile application on your phone to go through your documents when you're on the go or on some conference or something like that. And also you save a lot of time and cost. And this is actually because everyone knows probably if you're searching through some emails for specific files, then you often get lost. And with document management systems, it's way easier because you just search in the DMS for a specific term and you get the right document straight away. And also in the correct version, because you can see the different versions straight away. You can see who of your guy in the company changed the document recently and what happened in the past. You can see the whole history and things like that. And last but not least, of course, the integration with third-party software, for example, Camunda. And here is where it becomes more interesting for us now. So there are many ways of integrating into third-party software for document management systems. And as I said, there are two different approaches. One is for the classic on-premise solution that you have installed in your organization, and the other one would be the modern way using the cloud-based solution. And when you want to integrate one of those, then you have to look either at the CMIS-standard, or you have to look at things like box.com, for example, or Dropbox integration using REST services. But before I'm going to show you that in my live demo, I first want to tell you a little bit more about Box. So what is Box actually? They have a really nice phrase for their own software. So they call themselves the modern content management platform. And this is really true because it's a cloud-based file sharing content management service. And all the content and data is hosted on their servers on box.com. And they support all kinds of different features besides DMS, like collaboration, mobility, and also security, things like that. So according to Gartner, they're the leaders actually in this market. So of course there are others, like many of you maybe know Dropbox or Google Drive, or yeah, there are other things like Amazon Drive, things like that. But here Box.com is actually the leader in the market. So this is why we are looking at Box today, and many big organizations, like for example IBM, have a partnership with Box just because they think that they are the leader. And yeah, another argument for using Box is also that they provide very, very many different kinds of SDKs for developers, and they're very good documentation. So this allows you to integrate them very easily into other software. So they already come with client SDKs in Java and .NET and Node, for example, but also for mobile applications, Android and Objective-C. So this really makes it much easier to integrate them. So now I want to show you how this actually looks like. For those who haven't seen Box before, this is just one of the website, just a picture of the website of them. This is where you can see different files. You can search through them, through the folders, and also they have some collaboration features, so you can chat to your colleagues, upload new documents, or share files to customers. and also, yeah, just rename files and version files and things like that. So there's it's a quite useful tool, and later I'm going to show you a bit more into detail how this could look like. So let's have a look at the more classic approach. I'm not saying that it's worse or that it's not so good as the other one, but it's just it's a little bit older. So the CMIS standard is more for classic on-premise solutions that are installed within your organization. And the CMIS standard is standard by Oasis from May 2013. And it's an open standard which comes with a domain model and specific bindings that can be reused to work with specific DMS systems that support the standard. And the nice thing here is that actually this is language independent. So you can develop this in whatever language you like. It's just specific bindings and protocols that are defined by them. So we have the classic approach through web services, Whistle and SOAP, and we also have Atom. You probably know that from RSS feeders, and we also have the more modern approach through JSON. And one very important thing to note here is that there is a open source community that provides this Apache chemistry client and server implementation, which help you to communicate on the one hand with CMIS DMS systems, but on the other hand also provides you with the server implementations for Java and .NET and also other programming languages. So now you ask, okay, this is nice that there is a standard, but who's actually using the standard? Because often it's like this, that there's a standard, but no one uses it. So let's have a look which of the DMS systems use the standard, and this is actually a quite large list. Many DMS software providers use the standard in their solution, and they're not only open source, but also others like IBM and HP. For example, here there are the closed source systems where they are still using the CMIS implementation. So with the help of CMIS, you can now communicate with the DMS systems, and if at some point you want to replace the document management system with another software, then it is very easy, because you can still you don't have to change much within your application. You just connect it to a different solution in the end. If you're interested in more details regarding CMIS and implementation, then you can have a look in this link here. There are more details in which functionality is actually really implemented in this DMS system. So sometimes there are a few methods missing, or not every binding is really implemented in 100%, but you can just have a look there and see what is missing and what not. In most cases, it works pretty well. In my case, I use the Open CMIS server solution. So this is also listed here, the Apache Chemistry in-memory server. This is a very lightweight DMS system that you can just run in any web server you like. You can just download it for free and then run it on your computer. And as soon as you do this, you can connect another software, which is called CMIS Workbench, to this specific server, and then you can have access to the files that you're storing in this system. And this is what I'm going to show you later as well in the live demo, how this looks like. And here's just an image of this from my local CMIS Workbench, which is connected to my local server. And here you can already see that there are some folders, some files, and similar to Box actually. You can see specific properties that are configured here and shown in this view. And you can also delete documents here, delete files, upload new files, and things like that. So I think before we talk too much about theoretical stuff, you also want to see really interesting showcases, and that's why we're going to jump right into the demo, I would say. So I'm going to show you what we can do with Camunda here and what this is all about. So let's jump into the browser view. So I'm going to open the Camunda task list, in which I already have deployed 2 process applications, which I'm going to show you today. So on the one hand, this is the first one, the invoice receipt. This is one which connects you to box.com. And the second one is the one that connects you to CMIS server that is running locally on my computer. So I will start with the box.com solution, and I'm going to click here on start the process. And this is very similar to the standard invoice process that you probably know from the standard Camunda distribution that you can download from our website. So this is about uploading a specific invoice document. I'm just going to choose the invoice PDF first, and then I'm going to click on upload. As soon as I click on upload, this file gets straight away uploaded to box.com, and I can just type in some data, and we're going to start this process in a second. So just some random data, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I'm going to start this one here. Okay, so now I started this process, and it's already here. A new task is created. We can see already a nice form, and they're going to claim this task. Before we're going to continue and have a look on the form, I want to show you how the process looks itself. So as you probably know, we have some team assistant, some approver, and an accountant here in this process. I just started this process here, invoice received. This was the first form we have just seen. And then we have some business rule task, which has a DMN table in the background, and this automatically assigns the approver to this task. And this is the next user task we are currently at. So this is why it's highlighted here. And depending on what we click now, yes or no, so if we approve it, we're going to have to prepare the bank transfer. But if we don't approve it, then we're going to jump into a CMMN case. And this is the verify invoice case. And this is where this process has changed a little bit from the one that you probably know already. And I'm going to show you in a second how this looks. But before we do that, let's go back to the form here. And let's have a look at the invoice that we just uploaded. So as soon as I click the preview button, box.com preview is generated for this specific file. And we can already see that now here in this form. So you see this is from box.com, the live preview. You can preview all different kinds of documents here, from PDF through JPEGs, pictures, and also Word files and so on. They support really a lot of different files. And also a nice functionality is here. You can just click in the open box folder, and it brings you just right to the box.com webpage, where you can see this file again. So if I click on it, it creates a preview as well. Just takes a second, and then we see that this is an invoice. Of course, the same file as we have seen before, and I just uploaded this one. If I click back, you can see there's some cryptic folder name. So within this insurance data, all my different folders are created. As soon as I kick off a new process instance, automatically a folder is created here. And this is then the reference to this folder is stored as a process variable in Camunda. So I'm going to show you this later in the cockpit, how this actually looks like. What you can do as well, if we go back to Camunda, is that you can download this file here, which saves it on your local desktop, and then you can also have a look. Right, this is just local now. Okay, I close this one, and then we're gonna not approve this maybe and say complete. And then we have to assign a reviewer. So now we are already within this case I just mentioned, which has for now 3 human tasks. So one is assign reviewer, and as soon as we complete this one, we can see the review invoice human task. So let's click on demo and say complete. And as soon as I click this button, the review invoice human task is activated. And now you can again see a really nice form where you can preview this file you just uploaded. And again, you could open the box folder. I don't want to do it again. But the second functionality that just appeared here is that you can upload a new invoice. And this little thing here is this is going to activate a specific case execution that you can see here in this diagram. So you can see here that there's a human task that you can manually activate multiple times, which is called upload new invoice. And this is what I'm going to do now. As soon as I click here on this link, the new task gets activated, which shows up here straight away. So we have this upload new invoice human task created now. I can claim this as well. Okay. What I can do now is upload new documents. So I'm going to choose one more. Let's see. We're going to choose invoice 2, which is just another invoice. I'm going to upload this one. This takes a little bit, and then I'm going to choose another file. Let's choose invoice 3, because we just noticed that a few invoices are missing that are related to this specific case. And let's update also the original one. So let's upload this one as well. So we have 3 different files here now. I'm going to click on complete. And then we're going to jump back to the review invoice task. And now you can see straight away that we have multiple files here within our process instance. So here you can now have a look. This is the invoice PDF now in version 2 because we updated this one. As soon as you take the same file name, it's going to update it automatically in box.com. If you choose a different file name, it's going to create just a new file. Right? So I'm going to show you the preview as well for invoice 2. This is this one here. And then for invoice 3, I'm going to show you this invoice. And there you can see this is just an invoice regarding the donkeys, for example, but it could be, of course, anything else that you like. So really, really useful. And what you can do now as well, I just mentioned this versioning here. You can show different versions in box.com. So if you click on this one, you can see again our 3 different files. If you click on the invoice PDF, that was the wrong button. I have to click on the version. Then you can see the version history of the specific file. So we can see that there is the current one, which is version 2, and the older one, version 1, also invoice PDF. Okay, this is a really nice functionality in box.com. And I'm going to jump back now to our task list, and we're going to say, okay, this really helped us, but in the end, we saw that this is not only about pizza, but great pizza and donkeys don't die, for example. Yeah, this is what we can say here, just some random text that you actually put there. And then we're going to click on the complete button. And this is going to complete our review invoice task. And also it's going to close this case. So this case is completed now. And now we can see this data here, and we can just approve it and say complete. And then we end up in the bank transfer. Okay. Good. Now we have seen how this works for box.com. But now you remember I said, okay, there's another implementation that I did to show you how it would work on on-premise solutions. And this is why we're going to start now the invoice receipt CMIS process before we actually look more into the code, because I really want to show you how this all looks like in the background. But before we do that, I'm going to start another process. And let's say we're going to have, this time I don't want to talk about donkeys again, so let's choose the normal invoice again here, which is just random. And again, we say this is great pizza. Okay. And a random number here, 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to start this one. Good. So as soon as we start this one, you get an approve invoice task again. And again, you can preview this task. It looks a little bit different. And you have to be fair here. You can only preview PDF for now, because this is what the browser supports in this case. But from the implementation point of view, you could also preview, for example, pictures. And if you make it a little bit more difficult with JavaScript, you could also display Word files and things like that. but we would have to implement the preview ourselves, not like box.com, where the preview already comes with box.com. We would have to do it on our own. But of course, you could also just download this file now. But this I don't want to do. I want to show you how this looks on this local workbench. As I just said, there's this local workbench that I have installed. And here you can see now there are different folders. And we just have to click on the right folder. And this is the latest folder that is here. And let's make it a little bit bigger so you can really see that. Yeah, so back in Berlin, now here it's 5:25, so this is the file we just created. It's here at 4:24, this is because of the server time. Depending on your location, of course, it's a different time, but this is really the file that we just created there. We're going to see that in a second as well if we upload more files. So here you can already have a look on the specific one that we just uploaded. And to be fair, this would be usually now stored on a larger server somewhere within your organization. And I don't want to approve this task as I want to upload as before another PDF file. Let's make it a little bit bigger. So let's review this one again. And let's say we want to upload a new invoice. You can see it works basically the same way as before with box.com. And this one I'm going to upload again. So let's upload the file and another one. Okay. And maybe also we want some versioning. So I'm going to upload another version of the invoice PDF file. And then we're going to complete. Okay. Now we're going to get automatically again this task, review invoice. And here I can now preview again the invoice 3. I can preview also the other PDFs that I have here. And let's go back to our workbench where we can then hopefully see that something happens. So we just have to refresh this view to go back here in. So you see there's 3 different files. And a very nice thing is now that you can see also that there's some versioning. So of this file, we have, of course, 2 different versions. One is the ID 158 and 152 with 2 different version labels. Okay. Let's go back to Camunda. Also, Camunda shows you that there are different versions now of this file. And for now, we're going to say that we clarified this invoice and complete it. And then we're going to approve it. Because if you remember, as soon as we approve it, we go back to this task here. So I'm going to complete it, just approve and complete. And then again, we're going to have to create now the bank transfer, which I don't really want to do because I don't want to pay for anything. But I'm going to jump into the cockpit now to show you what really happened in Camunda in the background while we were clicking around and uploading new invoices to our system. So we have, as you can see, this is already the latest version of Camunda. This is Camunda 7.6. It looks a little bit different than 7.5. So 7.6 Alpha 5. End of the month we have the release. So there's also a webinar in 2 weeks just saying here coming up about the new release. You can already register. It's going to be really nice and new features. So this is how the new look and feel is. And we're going to jump into the process definitions again. This stays the same. Just looks a little bit different. We'll have 2 process applications deployed, as we have seen before, also in our task list. And now I'm going to jump into the invoice receipt CMIS process. And of course, now I have to go to the history because here my processes are here. And now let's see. There are already some completed ones, but mine is not completed. So I could find it also in the runtime, but now I'm in the history already. So this is really nice. I can just click on this ID here now. This is our process. So we can see really nice already in this view what happened. Wandered around, we arrived here twice, at the proof invoice, at the gateway twice, and we are sitting at the prepare bank transfer at the moment. And let's have a look. This is the important thing here, the variables. Let's check this out. What you can see straight away is that there's no file here, right? Even though we uploaded multiple files, there are no files stored in Camunda's database. But instead, we have something that's called a folder name. This is this cryptic random unique ID that got created as soon as I uploaded the first file. And this is the one that is also, you can see right here in the CMIS implementation. In the CMIS workbench, you can see that this is the folder and our reference that we store within Camunda. So the second thing I want to show you is how the files look like. This is just a JSON array where the reference to the files are stored to show them in the forms in a really nice way. And also we have, of course, all the other data that is stored within this process instance. But this is probably something that you already know, that this shows up here. The second thing, let's have a look how it looks in the boxed case. We have this process instance here, and this is the one we created. So here it's very similar. We have some box folder with a random ID that was created, and also we have specific files. Okay, so Camunda really stores only a reference to this folder where the files are located, and the rest is managed in the DMS or in box.com or in the CMIS implementation in the end. Okay, good. I would say we are ready now, and you have seen most of the things that are happening here. One last thing I want to show you is also if you go into the history view of this process instance that we just used. That's the last thing I want to show you, that you can also see that there are this called case instances. So here's really the case that we executed, right? So as you have seen, I had the multiple upload new invoice human task here. And as you can see here in the audit log, we completed one, and the other one was created automatically because it's the repetition here, but it got disabled as soon as I completed this case. As soon as I completed the review invoice human task, the whole case got closed and completed, and this is why this one got disabled, just if you wondered. Okay, so let's have a look how this really looks and get some hands-on into the code. So I open my Eclipse now, and you can see there are two different process applications. One is the Camunda example invoice box, and the other one is the example invoice CMIS application. And what I want to show you today is, of course, you can see all this code on github.com and see the sources, but I want to show you how it looks from end to end. So what we're going to do, we're going to have a look now into the Camunda modeler and see if we can find this right starting point. So let's have a look here. Okay, invoice received. Let's open this one and see which form is connected to the specific invoice application. So we have at the very beginning, we have the start form HTML, and this is the one where we have to look into. So we're going to open start form HTML at the very beginning and check what happens here. I hope you can see it well. It looks quite largely on my screen, so it should be nice for you as well. Okay, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Good. So here we can see this heading that you already seen before. We have this upload your invoice document, and the very important part is more down here. Of course, the inputs. This is something that is relatively basic, I would say, but the more advanced stuff is down here. So there is this really nice function which is interesting, which is the upload file method here. Okay, so this is in the scope of this form with the help of Angular. We saved this method, which is called upload file. And if you go up again, you remember there was this button called upload file. So as soon as I click on this specific button, the upload file method is called, and this is down here. And what it does at the very beginning, when it's called, it collects all the form data from this specific form that we have here, and then it takes all this data and just posts it using AJAX to the specific REST endpoint that we defined here. So Camunda invoice box REST upload, and then we have what happens here when there's a success. We parse it because it's a JSON, and we get the file name. This is this unique ID that was generated automatically. We get this one from the backend, and then we save this in an input field. And also, if the response is a success, so if everything worked fine, we show the document, the just uploaded document to the user. Right. So this is all that happens here. No real magic, just some Angular JavaScript. Okay. So let's have a look what happens when we do this post to the specific URL here. And this is what we find in the Java code. So let's have a look. I don't want to use this one. I want to use the Java resources. Make it a little bit bigger and open the correct file. So we have two things that are important for now. We have on the one hand the REST application, which just opens an application path within our invoice application. And then the second thing that we have here is defining another REST path and then the method upload file. And this is where our JavaScript talks to. So this is a real method where we have to look into and where we post in our form data. So we get the specific box folder here from the request, and we also get our file. Okay. So these are the two most important things. We either get the box, we get both the box folder and the file. Now there are two different things here. It can happen that there is no box folder. Then we have to generate this unique ID automatically. But as we reuse this upload method multiple times within our process application, sometimes we don't have to create it, and this is why we get it also from the request. So what do we do with this input part here now? We go through the list of input parts and get the real input stream from this file and the file name, and then we do nothing else but call this box connector. Okay, sounds very easy, but what is this box connector? This is a Java class I wrote, which helps you to connect you to box. So let's have a look into this method here. So there's this upload method within our box connector. Okay, this is what the box connector imports. Imports some stuff from this con.box SDK. And when we hit the upload method, it takes the file content as input stream, the file name, and the box folder name. And then, as I said, if we already have a box folder name, we don't have to create a unique ID, but we just reuse the box folder name, and then we create a connection to box.com using the box helper. And this is very interesting as well. So just let's have a look here inside what happens here. We pass in the user ID for this specific connection, and then using the Box Developer Edition API connection, we just get a new app user connection. So this is just something that we reuse from box.com, from their API, and I'm going to show you how this API looks like. So let's open our POM file for a second and have a look on the important thing now. So Box is here. This is the dependency we're using, Box Java SDK in version 2.1. And if you wanted to replace this now with, for example, Google Drive or Dropbox, you could go ahead, change the dependency, and just adapt the box connector in this point where it makes a connection. Of course, you could also just use some simple REST requests to talk to box.com, but it's way easier to use the SDK that they provide because it's very easy to understand. As you're going to see now, we do nothing else but creating a folder and based on this unique ID, and then later on we create our file. This is what I want to show you down here. So we do a check a little bit above here. If the file already exists in this folder, then we're going to say, okay, we want to upload a new version, and then box.com automatically creates a new version within its system, and yeah, this is where you can do then history tracking. And if we don't have a file already in the specific folder, then we just upload a file with the input stream and the file name. And yeah, if it worked, we're gonna say this is a success, and if not, then not, of course. Okay. There are a few more methods that I want to show you in this box connector. So one of them is the get embed link, the get folder shared link, and the file links. So one of them, this is this get embed link. This is the one that is used for the preview. So we are creating for a file that we pass in for a specific file name and the box folder name, we can create easily a preview link. Okay, and this is then returned to the front end, and the front end just uses this link in an iframe and opens this web page there. Okay. The second method that I want to show you is the get folder shared link. So with the help of this one, we can create this link to the specific folder that we have. So create the shared link folder, and with the help of this, then in the front end, we show this open box folder link. Okay. So these are the other two important methods that I wanted to show you. And then there are a few more interesting things that might be interesting for you. So sometimes when specific things are assigned to the user, we have to talk to Box and ask him, okay, are these still the current files that we have saved as a process variable? Because we cache them to not do every time a new request when the user opens the form, but we more do it when, for example, an assignment happens. So we have some execution listeners sitting there in our process, and with the help of the execution listeners, within specific moments, we just grab the new files and save them as variables within the process instance. And then the user gets always the latest information. We have the same for the case, so there's a case execution listener here as well. Okay, this is what you can see here at this point. Good. These are the most important things here. We can have a look again in the in some form. I just want to show you how the preview of the file works. So let's have a look. This is actually here in the review invoice HTML file. If you remember, when you reviewed, you had some kind of preview. And here I want to show you. So as I said, this is nothing else but an iframe, which allows you even to have a full screen mode. And we fill this iframe down here. Let's have a look how it works. So as I said, as soon as someone clicks on this preview file link, then we say, okay, loading preview, and then we make a call to this embed link method that I just mentioned within the box connector with the file name and the box folder name. And then if we get the URL back, we set it as a source from the iframe. Okay. So these are very easy methods that I just used. You could expand it whenever way you like, and it's quite straightforward to do that. So we have 15 minutes left, as I can see. So let's have a look quickly into the CMIS process application, what happens there and what is actually different from the other one. So from the web, I don't really have to go into the web because it's very, very similar and it's nothing new for you. What is here interesting in the CMIS connector now, I want to show you the facade first, maybe to make it clearer. So within the facade is more or less the same, but in the end, instead of the box connector, we are using here this CMIS connector, and then we do the same. We just upload a file with an input stream, file name, and folder name. So more or less, it's very, very similar to box.com, right? So let's jump into CMIS, and here you can see that we are getting a session. So this is a little bit different than with box.com. We don't have to get an API connection. We get instead a session. In the end, yeah, very similar. You could say that, but here you can get some CMMS username, some password, the browser to my document management system. This one, in my case, is a local one, and the binding type, browser, and repository ID. Now you ask, okay, well, where do you get all this config from? Of course, you don't want to store this within this Java class, but you rather have some specific properties file for this. And as it's my local one, I can just show you the real one. I rather don't do that with the box.com because then you can just save files on my box account, which is probably not so nice. So I just show you the local one here with CMIS. So here's the URL. This is the server that is running locally on my computer. I have a repository ID. This could be, of course, completely different, and some random user and password. And we have the root folder as before. Also in box.com, you have seen that there's a kind of root folder, which is called insurance data in our example. Good, and this configuration is then pulled into this class here. And then we have this, of course, again, an upload method, as I said before, and it's in the end very, very similar to what happened in box.com. So we had some, we check if there are specific folders. If they're not there, then we create them. And we then, if we have this folder, then we create the document. And there are two cases. So either there is no document, then we create a new one. This is this create document with the content stream and some properties. Here we tell also the CMIS document management system that it should be versioned, should be a version file, and also give it a specific file name. And then if it doesn't exist, we just create a new version by checking the file out, changing something, and then checking it in again. And this creates a new file within this document management system in a very, very clean way. So one more thing that is interesting for you is probably how we create the download link. So you have seen that you can download the file as well. And this is how we do it. We just get the specific file. We have the file ID already within our process, so we don't have to worry about this. We get the document, and then we get the content stream and get the stream as an input stream again, and just and give back the data to the front end. And this is all we have to do here in this CMIS connector. So it's very, very lightweight, and you can extend it whatever way you like, connect it to different ways of implementations of DMS systems. And yeah, so before we stop, I want to show you a few more slides to just give you a few ideas how and what you can now do with this after this webinar or after what I've shown you here in this example. So of course, there is the source code available for this webinar on GitHub. So you have the possibility to just go on this link here within our Camunda consulting repository and click on snippets and on the ECM integrations. And there's where you can find these two process applications which I've just shown you. So you can go in there, check out the code, and then change it the way you like. And this is, of course, only an example. So in our case, we uploaded the files manually. So someone sent us a letter, we scanned it in manually, for example, in a smaller organization, and then created documents within the document management system on our own. But of course, it would be also possible that the DMS system kicks off the process and saves the file automatically with its unique ID that is created automatically by the DMS. Because many DMS, as I said before, support already scanning and automatically saving files and documents. So this would be possible as well. This is just a different way of implementation then, and my example shows you straight away how this would be possible with Camunda. And the advantage here with Camunda, which I just want to point out again, is that due to its very open and lightweight way of implementation, it's very, very easy to have the part in the form life cycle in the front end and the task list, but also to just create new REST endpoints. Yeah, as we have seen, we just within a few lines of Java code, we created a new endpoint for uploading the file and storing it then into the external system. So from this point of view, it's very, very easy. And if you missed something now during the last hour, you can also have a look at the Camunda blog posts that I published there. So there are two different ones, one about the CMIS DMS system and one about box.com. So you can have a look there. I explained what I did here today, the most important things are there. And you can also, of course, also, as Daya said, watch the video later on. We're going to publish this as well. And last but not least, I want to tell you that there are too many very important things here. The Box Java SDK, which I used within my process application. You could replace this by using, for example, the Dropbox Java SDK that is also available online, or Google Drive SDK. For other cloud-based systems, and there is also the link to the Apache Chemistry Open CMIS implementation. Yeah, I would say this is it for now. This is what I wanted to show you today. So before we switch off now, I would say we're gonna check if there are any questions today for this webinar, and I'm gonna hand over to Daya to ask the questions.
Cool. Thank you so much, Felix. And thanks for that great presentation. I'm sure we all learned a lot. So there are a couple of questions. The first one being, it seems like many CRM systems. Does it also qualify as an ECM system? So I'm assuming that's referring to Camunda, seeming like many CRM systems. I'm wondering if it also qualifies as ECM systems.
Okay, so you're asking about CRM systems, which are, of course, a little bit different to DMS systems, because you're storing different kind of information there. You're not storing, or you could store documents there. In most cases, you don't do that probably. You could see them in a broader way as ECM system as well, because they store enterprise content management. Of course, they store content that is related to the enterprise, and in this case, depending on the way or how it's implemented, and if it has an open API, of course, we could connect it to Camunda. It would be probably very different to what I've shown you today. When I say very, I mean not completely different, because you're probably also going to talk through web services, for example, to the system, but you wouldn't probably use the CMIS-standard. As far as I know, the CMIS-standard is only related to DMS systems and not to CRM systems. But of course, it would be still quite easy to integrate that with Camunda, as long as it has an open API. Yeah, thank you.
Great, and we have another question, and I'm not sure if I understand it 100%. So it's just a question, if we could integrate Camunda and other file systems as ECM systems like IBM, Oracle, or Microsoft.
So this is actually a very, very good question. So we talked about Camunda today, and we talked about CMIS. CMIS is a standard, as I said, for connecting to different kind of other content management ECM solutions. So if I go back just a few slides just to show you, there's this list of implementations And as you can see here, there are all these different kind of implementations, all the software from IBM, for example, IBM Content Management Manager or IBM Connections files. So yes, the answer is yes, you can connect to IBM or Oracle Web Center content, for example, using Camunda, using the CMIS standard. And it would be very, very similar to what I've shown you today in this example. I used only the Apache Chemistry memory server, but you could use, of course, the 3 other ways of implementation. And I hope this answers your question. Yeah, thank you for the question again.
Great, and we have one last question. It's how easy would it be to exchange Box.com with Dropbox or Google Drive?
Okay, again, a very good question. Thank you. So to answer this one, from my point of view, it would be very easy and straight away you could do that because both of these solutions provide SDKs that are available, and you can just pull them in as Maven dependencies, and then you would replace the methods within the Box connector, for example, to connect instead to Google Drive or to Dropbox, and then just do the requests like this. So in the end, it would be a very, very similar implementation, but of course a little bit different depending on how they are written. Myself, I haven't touched the Dropbox SDK or the Google Drive SDK, but I had a quick look on them earlier yesterday, and yeah, they look very similar to what we have in the Box SDK. So I know that many companies are also using, for example, Google Drive, just because it's connected to the Google Mail infrastructure and things like that. So of course you can do the same and connect Camunda with Google Drive. Yes. Good. Thank you for this question again, and yeah, thanks everyone. I'm going to hand over to Daya for the last words for today for this webinar.
Great, thanks so much, Felix. So just to quickly summarize, if you do want to talk to us, if you have any additional questions, we're always happy to hear from you. You can see on the slide we have a US and German number, and you can always email us info@camunda.com, or of course visit our website at camunda.com as well. And thank you so much for spending the last hour with us, and we hope it was informative for you. And on behalf of Felix and I, wish you guys a great day, and thanks again for joining us.